What is going on? Welcome to Ben Knows Nothing. I am your host, Ben, and Ian is sick. My co-host, Ian, wasn't feeling well. He called me like this. Maybe he was plugging his nose. I do not know, but he sounded like complete garbage. I might be a little spicy today because I did have some margaritas with lunch, and then came back to film this lovely podcast. So last week's podcast, once again, it has been a crazy past month for myself, for people that I love, people around me. So I have taken the approach that, you just got to do what you got to do. You got to push through. And it is hard, man. It's hard to tell yourself that no matter what, you've been through rough situations, tough situations. And, when you say those things, you're not belittling what's happening. However, you are letting yourself know that you're not going to die from this. You're not going to, you're going to struggle. You're not going to be able to do maybe sometimes the best you can. And you just got to take each day, step by step. So, however, I have, kind of put it in my mindset that I've adopted, the ability to kind of endure and suffer through things. And like I said, it doesn't, belittle any of the things that I'm going through or any of the people that are in pain around me. And that obviously should, but it is what it is. So I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for the people that I have around me. I'm grateful for the funny situations. I'm grateful that I can laugh about it. I had, some of my friends reach out, and we all have if you guys haven't noticed, I have a sense of humor. I don't even like saying a dark sense of humor. I just think that people have the sense of humor where you can make anything funny. Anything can be the funniest version of that terrible thing, for sure. Like anything that's terrible that has happened, there's always the funniest version. It's not funny, but it's the funniest version. So I have to be honest with you. I had some, really, oh my God, just hilarious conversations with people, talking about, oh my God, all the terrible things. And my buddy goes, so have you jumped off a cliff yet? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm literally texting you on the way down right now. How did you know that? And somebody's gonna be like, it's not funny. It's not funny. It's like, dude, I'm with you. I get it. But I'm also at that point where I will and I will always encourage anybody and everyone to say whatever it is they want. It doesn't matter. I could disagree with you. And I disagree with people all the time. But I'm not sitting there like, oh my God, you hurt my feelings. I can't deal with you. And it's like, dude, just move on. Just either don't watch it, don't look at it, don't touch it. I just love people who can make me laugh, man. The more screwed up shit just you guys send me, the funnier it is. What's going on, everybody? This episode of Ben Knows Nothing is brought to you by Graziella Coffee. Go to graziellacoffee.com and pick up your coffee today. You can order it and have it delivered right to your house. Dark roast, medium roast, light roast, these delicious coffees. We serve this one right in my lobby. You also can go on graziellacoffee.com and use the promo code BNN and get yourself 20% off your first order. Awesome. So go to it, order it, let's get it. So yeah, I had some good conversations with some people about some of the stuff that was going on. And one of my friends recommended me this book, The Comfort Crisis, and I'm realizing now. You ever have somebody, just recommend something to you? Like you ever have, and they have no idea how much that you needed that. You ever had that happen to you? I've had that happen. And when it does, and it's like what you needed to hear, man, does it hit? It hits like boom, and it just hits you right in the chest. So I've made some time for myself. I've made some time off for myself, going on a trip by myself, stuff like that. I need that. I definitely do. I enjoy my life and I love my life. But that doesn't mean that it's not stressful. It doesn't mean that, you can't go away. And it's so hard for me to relate to a lot of people because not a lot of people have been in my situations. Not a lot of people have, not a lot of people have had the type of lifestyle that I've had or the type of situations that I've grown up with. So it's really hard to relate. It's really hard to the only people I seem to be relating to are people who are real elitist types, entrepreneurial types, comedians too. I definitely relate to a lot of just kind of why you want to be in the spotlight, why you want to talk to people, why you want to make people laugh, why do you want to be around people sometimes. And I actually get a lot from this, so for me, just being on a podcast or just talking about something or just talking to someone, oh my God, it's just I get so much from it. And, that's what kind of made me realize that just because you get a lot from it doesn't mean that you don't get overloaded, with things too. So I think I'm testing my limits. I think I'm right at the point where I'm limited. I found my limit for work. I found my limit for things I'm willing to do or things that I can do. Because just maybe 2 years ago, for maybe 13 years, I could work 12-hour days, flat out, six days a week for sure, and still be okay. Go out one day a week, talk with everybody. But once you start to have actually other responsibilities and people that really rely on you, now I have a full staff. Now we're getting into video editing and business meetings and constantly doing stuff like that where you need to be snappy. You can't just be oh, all right, it is, it's fine. I'm just going to go home and, go pass out. You can't do that anymore. So working flat out, it's important for you to know and change and understand who you are and how you can do it. Because right now, I'll be honest, I think I have to change my work schedule up to 5 days a week, maybe 10-hour days instead, because I can't do the 12, 15-hour days anymore. I definitely 10-hour days, I know it sounds like but 10-hour days for me, when I get out of work and I get so much, I really do enjoy doing this, enjoy everything, but it still takes it out of you. But when you go in, if I go in at 6 and I get out at 4, I'm man, I'm out so early. And people are dude, you've been here for ever. I'm what are you talking about? But it's I don't even notice it. But when I work 6 to 6, you you notice that. But the 6 to 8s and the 6 to 9s, I don't think I could do anymore. And I need to say it because it's definitely taking a huge toll on me. It really is. So, I think that's where it's at. I pushed my limits with that. And I started challenging myself in other ways. So I was reading this book. It's called The Comfort Crisis. It's absolutely awesome. I'm really enjoying reading it. I actually can't put it down. I'm listening to audiobooks when I say I can't put it down because I have the attention span. I actually can't I'm really trying to sit and read. But it's hard for me because that's not the way I learn. I like to listen to things. If I listen to things, I absorb it really quickly. And so I'm listening to this book, The Comfort Crisis, which I absolutely love. And I cannot stop listening to it. I think I'm almost done with it. I started a day or two ago. So 2 weeks ago, I decided I was going to go rock climbing, indoor rock climbing. Not just hook me up to a mountain and swing me up and down. Yeah, that's a great idea. So I have an adequate fear of heights. like it's not like people are like, you're scared of heights. It's like, dude, I have an adequate fear of heights. Like when you get up there, you're high up there. That shit sucks. Like if you fall, like I have that fear, like where you're like up something high and like, man, this would suck if I fell. I have that fear of heights. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start rock climbing. I want to get out of my comfort zone. Obviously, like I said, I work out, you guys can tell. So I go there too, and there's a couple things that I notice. So we do the belay class, which is like belaying means like you're able to be attached to somebody on the ground so you don't die. So you have to do this figure eight knot, and then do a double figure eight knot before you put it on. And the people, were super great that were doing it. The guy was really nice. But I'm partnered up with my wife. This 300 plus pound guy, 350 pounds. He's partnered with this 112 pound Indian girl, really skinny, super skinny, shockingly skinny. So it's him and her are partnered up. Then this other guy and his daughter, who's like 5. Okay. So the difference, it's a very diverse group, So he's, really watching this crew over on this side with the larger gentleman. The guy's like I said, 3 plus pounds, and she's like weighs nothing. And he's like, oh, you have to go. And he's like, well, I'm actually here because I want to belay my daughter, my young daughter. I just want to be able to make sure she's attached to a rope and attached, and nothing happens. And he's like, yeah, but you still got to do it. So you have to climb. And it is, I'm going to say that it was still amazing to see him climb as high as he did with how heavy he was and hanging on. But I was like, ooh, he's getting up there. And if he falls and this girl, and so you have like a pulley system at the top to take away some of the weight that he's going to distribute to this skinny girl. But I don't know if any of you worn a harness before, one of those climbing harnesses. I'm a thick bitch, okay? I got these thick thighs, and dude, so they hug around the bottoms of your ass, and then they also go around your waist. Now, when he fell, because he fell, she is on the other line. I watched that harness. This is a little skinny girl. This thing harness went zoop and just pulled her right up. She's on her tippy toes, like, and then kind of like floating in the air against him. And the guy's like, the pulley system will work. It'll work. It's like, yeah, it worked a little bit, but this is like a 4-to-1 ratio here, dude. And it did work, but still, to watch that harness get that tight around that girl, I thought it was going to cut her in half. Like I was like, it like jolted this girl up on her tippy toes, and then he came back down. And what you have to do too, like he had to do that fall, because when you're trying to get like certified, like belay certified, you have to fall off. You have to do an announcement, like you have to go, hey, falling, and let them know, so then that way they can make sure you don't die. And then you also do surprise ones just to make sure they can go to the break position, which is bringing it down to make sure that you don't, like I said, die. So now I watch him with her. He's not making a budge. Now, the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because I'm all the way on the other side. So the guy, the instructor has already kind of spent a lot of time with this group on this side because he's a little worried, And then now he's in the middle, and it's a father-daughter. The daughter's, like I said, like 5 or 6, and then the father. And now this kid has no fear. The difference between like adults and children when it comes to climbing, doing anything physical, is like the little girl is just swan diving off of, like, they're like, you need to announce your falls. And she's like falling and just whips her head back, just full, Boondock Saints. There was a firefight, like that, right off backwards. And her dad's just like sweating. I'm watching this guy sweat and just like catching her and stuff. It was hilarious. So she's climbing up, she's climbing down. So when the instructor gets to us, he's already dealt with this one over here, the weights over here, just like worried about that girl dying, worried about this guy and his daughter, and then all of a sudden he gets to us. And me and Caleb, me and my wife have like really good communication, when it comes to just the things in life, So, I'm like, oh, belay on all this other stuff, right? So when I go to I'm like, hey man, can you just kind of check my knot for me? He's like, I will do this. Good. He's like, good job. And I'm like, he didn't even look at it. He didn't look at it. So now I'm in my mind, I'm like, hey, asshole, did you pay attention? Me. I'm like, did I pay attention? Did I do the knot right? Did I not do it right at all? And you're supposed to safety check each other before you go. So now I'm asking somebody who it's like her first time, belaying, and she's like, oh, yeah, that looks right. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, yours look right too. I'm like, hey, by the way, does this look great? He's like, yeah, fine, just go. I'm like, wow, what a great certification. And so I'm up there, and the difference between me, the guy who can't get himself up, and the little girl just swan diving backwards, now I'm like falling, and just kind of letting go. In fact, I did hit my nose a little bit on one of those little yellow blobs that are up there. Because each when you go to a rock climbing place, like all the different colors, like they mean different textures and they mean different stuff and different lines. You can have obviously I stayed in, the beginner stuff. But anyway, so I fell and I did scrape my nose a little bit on one of those little yellow blobs. And I didn't tell anybody when I went down. I just kind of, just did this for a little bit. Everybody's like, what's wrong? I'm like, no, it's fine. My hands were killing me. I'm pretty athletic, and I do a lot of stuff, but man, were my hands killing me because when we went, we stayed for 2 hours at least, 2 hours. And then did the class, then stayed for 2 hours. So when you think about that, the guy was like, I was like, hey, does it matter when we leave? Can we leave in a couple hours? The way that he smirked was like, yeah, you guys aren't going to stay that long. That's a lot. And I'm like, dude, he didn't say, I knew this afterwards because my hands were killing me. But, so afterwards we get, certed. We're good. We're ready to go. So my first big climb, because these things are really high, I'm like, I'm going to pick this one. It's an easy one. It's like a 5.6 or whatever, which is really easy on the scale. I see 14s in red and all this. I don't know what the numbers mean, to be honest with you. I have no idea. But I do know that 5.7s and 5.6s are easy because all the kids that were there were doing these. So I was like, let's go to these. These seem safe. It was still the same height, just they're easier to get up. So I go up, and it's my first climb. So the same thing. I do the figure 8, wrap again. Not think I nailed it. I did okay. Tied it off at the top because I was nervous. I'm attached to this, this little redheaded lady that I'm with, and so then I go, and so I get all the way up there, and I chose the easiest, but there's a wall on the other side, so you could just do this, and then you also could grab other stuff on the other side of the wall. It's where the wall meets, another. So you can look over, and I see everybody. And then you realize how high you actually are. You're really high, really high. So as I'm doing that, I'm almost all the way up. Now I'm at the 5.6, 5.7. Beginner, very, very beginner, super beginner. And I get all the way up there. And there is this young lady on the other side of the wall I'm looking at. I'm like, hey, how's it going? We're climbing up, Look down the line. There's a guy with his shirt off, one of those climbing types, He's got the ponytail, he's got the infinity sign on his shoulder, he's got, he's all ripped up. He weighs all of 155 pounds. He's got a koi fish on his calf. And this dude, powder. He's putting his hands in the powder, all that stuff. This is probably going to be me in literally 6 weeks. So he's doing that. I see him, I see her. And then I move my head up a little bit, just a smidge. And I see this other lady. This other lady is, so when you go there, there's a spot. It's the hardest spots are over on the other end. You could, but it's by me, but it's on the other side, the opposite side. The wall goes like this, 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 this. So it's like that. Boom. She's Spider-Manning it. She's literally stuck to the ceiling. So I look up over my shoulder and then over, and I'm like, there she is, right there. Just pop, this little Asian lady, just going ham. Husband's down on the back, just kind of. Son is cheering her on. He's just like, yeah, go, yeah, you got it, and she's just chill, making it look easy. I look at it's like the hardest one that you could do. She goes up, taps the top of the roof of the place, blaze down. Now, because I'm looking over at her, I go, wow, she's pretty high. Like she's pretty high up. And then I go, well, then if she's high up, I'm high up because we're the same. So then I look down, and I know, but it's my first, one where I'm going up that high, and my heart starts going, oh my God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just like in Wolf of Wall Street. Mm-hmm. That's what my heart is doing. It's just going crazy. I could feel it in my throat. I could feel it. Full Matthew McConaughey. Just It's going, dude. I was like, I remember immediately like breaking into a sweat, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to come down. I'm already at the top. I'm like, I'm already ready to come down. Voice started to crack. She's like, oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you from down here. It was like one of those. So I belay down, terrified, touching the feet, doing the whole thing. Get down, and I'm like, man, I needed that. I needed that so much. You have no idea. Seriously. And then I climbed again. We're going again Sunday with a bunch of our friends. And you have no idea how much you need shit like that. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to have your heart beat fast like that. It's not just for, going fast in your car every once in a while, or when you get pulled over, or when you fall in love. Like, you got to challenge yourself. You really do. And I'm not hooked on that, but there's a love there for sure. There's like something there. I think it just has to do with something challenging. And I'm going to continue to do it. And if you all, try to do something that's going to challenge you, that's going to get you out of your comfort zone. Whether it be going on a hike, start lifting, start moving, start climbing, whatever it is. Go to a jiu-jitsu class, man. Go to a boxing class. Do anything, because when your heart gets going like that, man, that's where the fun is. That really is where the fun is. And I was just on like I was on a high for the rest of the rest of the week. And it's just so much, it's so gratifying. It makes you so much more grateful for things, I think. And I'm not the type to shy away from stuff. I mean, I pride myself in being pretty adventurous and like doing whatever, but you have to get out of that comfort zone. And if you don't, your heart will never beat quick enough to tell you. And there's something very valuable to have your heart beating like that. There's something very valuable, not in just adrenaline rushes. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the freedom. I'm talking about conquering something or setting your goals. Like, I have that goals. I want to be on that other side, climbing up that. I've accomplished a lot of things in my career and a lot of things that I've really enjoyed. But it's time to do stuff like that, to get out of my comfort zone, to help myself, progress myself. I started going to business meetings. Man, that is hard too. When you're around like just these really, really smart people, man, there's people that are so much smarter than you. And you're just like, oh man, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'll say that. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And they're like, oh, let me tell you. And then it's like people like that you want to be around. You don't want to be with like dickish smart people. There's nothing worse than being around a dickish smart person. You're like, what are you talking about? Oh, don't even worry about it. You're like, oh, come on, dude. Now you're making me not want to hang out with you. But yeah, so if I can say anything before I leave, because I have to go into the sauna right now, before this other person gets in there. So I will say this: get out of your comfort zone. Thank you all for your support. I love all of you guys, and thank you for reaching out. We had a lot of emails, a lot of DMs, a lot of comments. Leave comments below. We'll be reading some more cringe DMs on the next one, and any segments that you want us to put back in. I'm thinking we need to go hell yeah versus hell no. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, and we'll go from there. And let me know what platforms. So we're going to be essentially releasing on all platforms. So it's going to be super fun. Thank you all for your support. I'm out of here. We are done. Bye. I'm gone. I know. I'm leaving.